Hello and welcome to the next installment of my power rankings videos. Still able to do these for myself. These are just 100% my opinions. I haven't really consulted with anyone else on my opinion on where these teams will be ranked, and I'm going from 12 to 1 on where I think teams are now compared to where they were 2 weeks ago. So I'm doing these bi-weekly, so I have a lot more material to base movement decisions off. They moved down from 11 this week just because I think because King grabbed their two Korean players, right? Insec and Zero finally came back. I had that rant last time about why. Why would you do this without Insec and Zero? There's of course a caveat, but we'll get there. WE is number 12 despite having one more point than King. They played another set over. I think they played one more set than King, maybe two more even. And King had less time with their main roster. W is only really capable of winning games when Spirit has Nidalee, which I think King has shown they've had more versatility. They can win with Jinx, they can win with Kog'Maw, they can win with Sivir, they can win with a few different things. They definitely have limitations. I'm not going to say that they have massive champion pools, but that's why I put WE at 12. They've just shown they're one-dimensional. Maluka can play Sion. Maluka actually only has two champions where he has or above 50% win rate on, and those are Sion and Kennen. And Kennen he hasn't played since 2013 when he was on Positive Energy with Name. So that's kind of where Luca is. He got to play Sion this week against Unlimited Potential. Nidalee was played by Spirit, and they were able to take a game there. So they lost 5 games, but they won the one. They're still... They look better. They took a game off Qiao Gu. They took a game off LGD. The problem with King is that if their bottom lane gets camped, they don't really have a place to go. Their rotational play has improved. Apparently, like, Name's still making a lot of the rotational calls, but Zero is making a lot of the team fighting calls. So their team fighting is improving, and their rotational play is slowly improving with more experience. Again, they don't know how to deal with the bottom lane getting camped. I think they're really good at lane swaps right now, just because Insec is not going to be a straight up 1v1 top laner. Insec moves top instead of jungle when he came back, which was really awkward. But if you think about it, Insec was having a hard time on these less aggressive picks this Cinderhulk meta. He was really having a hard time before King got relegated. And it wasn't just his injuries, it's just if you think about Insec, the types of champions he plays, it's not going to be his meta. And Hua isn't the best jungler, and that's definitely a weak point, a pain point for them now, because he gets consistently out-jungled. Last night in Demacia Cup, King had an 18-minute loss to Energy Pacemaker All, and I don't think Energy Pacemaker All is like some amazing team, and eventually King did come back and win, but Name had to be on these like hyper carries. Zero had to be on really good roaming and peel duty to help the mid and top lane. Like, Zero is forced into this PYL role, which I think allows them to be stronger than if they had to do a 2v2, but it's give King a lot of room to work. Not going to put this team up, especially, okay, since Unlimited Potential 2-0 Edward Gaming. Now, if Unlimited Potential hadn't 2-0 Edward Gaming, I probably would put King in number 10, just because I think Unlimited Potential is an extremely inconsistent team. I think they have actually really smart rotational play, because Heart is their shot caller, and they're able to move that, and that's why I think that they're eventually maybe going to be a little bit better than your Master 3s, your Royal Never Give Ups. But right now, they aren't there yet. And so they're going to stay in 10. Okay, the 2-0 of Edward Gaming actually saved them there. The fact that they went 1-1 to WE, they let WE have their great picks. Like, I actually did a VOD review with Emily Rand that will be out either today or tomorrow with this video. Unlimited Potential actually showed that they had a very good understanding of the way Edward Gaming works that I don't think any other team they faced has shown. So they were able to execute that well, but a lot of Unlimited Potential's games are about great ideas, really poor execution, so for now they're staying in number 10. Not a whole lot has changed about them. Again, they're still at number 9. They were at number 9 2 weeks ago. Dade is extremely inconsistent. Looper sort of fit into this carry role. I don't think he's good there. I don't think it's natural for him to carry. Condi is still like a really solid, really strong jungler, and that's why he's above maybe some of these other teams. Master 3 is above like King right now, for example. It's all on Condi, pretty much. Love CD is doing pretty well. SMLZ is still extremely underwhelming, but Master 3 isn't getting completely shut out, so that's why they're at number 9. Dandy moved to top on a more permanent basis. Best jungle in the world moves to the top lane, and you get this solo queue jungler to play for you. World 6 has shown a lot of promise on Gragas, not really much else. Dandy is really good on these smite tops right now. It's effectively, they have two junglers. Like, Dandy doesn't even go to lane, he just jungles, and him and Mata and World 6 roam. And it's a really interesting playstyle, and it's forcing people to have a lot of trouble with it. That's why they're able to 2-0 Snake, for example. But I think in the long run, like, Snake is still experimenting with compositions, all this other thing, so I'm not gonna rate it too highly, and I can't rate Vici Gaming, like, up significantly yet. I think that they'll probably bump up like 1 or 2 spots by next week, or in the next 2 weeks, once I get a better understanding of what this composition is. But right now, they took a hit in the top lane role, and they took a hit in the jungle role, and those were 2 of their 3 strongest roles. So it's really not working out well for them right now, and that's why they bumped down a couple spots for this week, these 2 weeks. Moved up 1 spot, mostly by virtue of Vici Gaming moving down 1. I wanted to address something about the Royal Never Give Up thing. They had a very, very close game with Edward Gaming, but as we're seeing, like, Edward Gaming is stalling out some games, they're experimenting more with their compositions, they lost 2 games to Unlimited Potential, they're much more about trying things out, about letting Def play that Callisto, which he's really terrible at, you know? I'll talk a lot more about that, but I contribute that game more to Edward Gaming making mistakes than Royal being strong. They had they got 2 up by Invictus. They split 1 with Vici Gaming. They 2-0 WE very convincingly, but WE is the worst team in the league right now. So they're still extremely talented players. Like, I think they have more talented than Unlimited Potential and Master 3 on their roster right now, but I don't consider them a very smart team in terms of rotation-based play. Their vision has improved a lot, I think. But I don't, like, they're in line to make the playoffs. I think that's totally legitimate, but I don't think that they're going to be an extremely strong team by the end of the split, and I think 7 right now is a really good place for them, even despite the standings. Given the fact that teams have played different amounts of games, that they had, like, a very heavy week this week, that they only really closed out on WE, and that game was still kind of like a train wreck, like, I don't know. They picked some really strange and awkward fights that WE was able to win, and I can't even explain why they were able to win. Like, they was so bizarre. So RNG right now is going to stay at number 7. So it's gonna seem really strange to you that LGD moved up, but I think that they did. They won some games. They won a game against Invictus Gaming. They got 2-0 by Snake, so that was an issue. They're actually tied for 9th place in the standings right now, so number 6 seems really high. But they are experimenting. They're trying smart things. They're doing Yasuo counters to Echo. POIL is roaming more, so they're tightening up. The really unfortunate thing about LGD is that Gavi came out and said that he might not play this weekend, so based on how hard that tanks their synergy and what they look like, they'll probably fall down again. But right now, I think that they're solidly middle. I think number 6 is a really good place for them, just given the experimentation that they've been doing, the talent that they have on their roster, and even the game they lost to Snake. It was really convincing, despite how strange their composition was, right? They had, like, the Ori Twitch, and Twitch is not a good pick right now. Imp is playing a lot of Vayne. Like, Imp's kill participation right now is extremely low. It's the lowest of any AD carry in the league. So that just tells me, and he's usually a really solid, reliable carry, so that just tells to me that they're trying things that maybe he's not comfortable, but ultimately in the end, like with the Callista thing, like with all that stuff that happened last split, and they came out better at the end for it, that's why I see LGD Gaming now. I don't see, again, I think that the jungle deficit is going to be a bigger factor this split, and I ultimately don't think that they will make playoffs. I actually favor either Invictus Gaming or Snake. Maybe even Qiao Gu, depending on OMG. OMG I rated up a lot this week. Depending on that, we might see OMG too be a contention for playoffs over LGD. It's a top 5. These teams are actually ranked really, really closely in points. And yes, Snake has played more games, and Qiao Gu has played fewer games, and Edward Gaming has played fewer games than Snake and IG, so OMG has played, I think, middle. So That's definitely something to consider when you're talking about these top five and the fact that their placements are deceptively close. Despite that, I think right now it is really hard to place them, and a lot of these are interchangeable and will go around. So I took some liberties. Have Qiao Gu at number 5 now, so they actually fell. They lost again to King. I think we saw some of their weaknesses come out for sure. I think really Swift needs to play Sejuani for Qiao Gu's teamfighting to look convincing at all. That's where they won the game against Snake, is because they had the Sejuani and because they timed the laning really well to punish Flandra for overextending for that really weird build on Echo. So I put Qiao Gu right now in 5th. I think dropping a spot makes sense for them given that we've seen some of their limitations come out a little bit more. Are really, really tight and really good as a group. Like, their comms are really fun to listen to because they're having a good time. Morale is high, they're all mechanically talented, their bottom lane is still doing extremely well. It's weird because they have gotten shut out in a couple series. They're playing poke compositions, and they don't really know how to execute those poke compositions. They used to play some poke compositions with Baka, played Sarth, but now they have Yu, who's playing some more champions, the Varus, the Jace. I thought the Jace, it was really funny and smart in the execution because they had the Jace and the Sivir. So if you pop those at the same time, seen that kind of composition before, but then they added the Scion jungle, which if you think conceptually you pop the Sivir ultimate, you have the Jace gate, and he just goes his ultimate and just like bam. That impact is so intense. Just how fast and how much of a quick engagement you can make with that. It didn't really work for them. I didn't really see them pull it off all game, but it was really interesting in concept. And just the idea that Snake is obviously, like LGD, the reason why I have LGD and Snake a lot higher in the standings than you might think of them based on the amount of games they played or where they are sitting based on one loss record. And just the fact that Snake got 2-0 by Vici Gaming, which I put in 8th place, right? But the willingness to experiment, the only factor with that, I think, is you have to be wary of how many games are we willing to lose before we, and I think Edward Gaming is facing this too, before we jeopardize some of our synergy, before we are too far in the standings to come back or to have a good seeding for playoffs. I think a lot of these teams are sandbagging intentionally, knowing what happened last time when last minute was changed to single elimination and double, because it will be a single elimination playoffs again. Edward Gaming is bleeding. They are showing some mortality, but I think everyone is aware that by the time playoffs comes around, Edward Gaming is going to be insane again. So why are they in 3rd when 2 weeks ago I had them at 5th? I actually probably think that they are lower than they are. I have to rate them up so high because they are winning. They are very clean in execution. My concerns about OMG right now, they get Maokai all the time. They get Sivir all the time. Their most successful composition is going to be that Sivir Maokai execution where Sivir helps them rotate really effectively, really quickly. Sivir's really good right now. I've gone on excessive rants about Sivir does a lot of damage because she has the auto attack reset. She has the attack speed increase on her ultimate passive. The fact that her short range is actually really deceptive because of how much AoE damage she can do with Ricochet, with Q, with how much like free hits she can get in a short span. If she can just get close enough once, she can do a ton of damage. And then just the fact that she does so much for the team, I think that despite the echoes, despite the rises, Sivir is like the best champion in the game right now. OMG is using her really well, like really, really good Sivir execution. Probably the best in the league, right? But again, if you drop that, where do they go? They go to like the Vayne, they go to some other stuff that hasn't worked really well for them. If you deny the Maokai from Young, he's not that skilled of a top laner. What is he going to play? What is he going to do? So OMG's been winning a lot of free games off of getting the Maokai Sivir comps. Really, really crisp execution, really good. There isn't really a way to rank them down. We haven't seen a lot of what they do outside of that. So just saying that, like, in absence of seeing other stuff, we're going to weight them down doesn't really seem fair. Invictus Gaming still at number 2. Okay, so a lot of stuff happened with Invictus Gaming. They kind of had a shit show, a lot of drama. on China Talk, we get into this more in detail, but effectively, their manager said that the team doesn't respect them, so Mafa doesn't want to do pick ban. Another coach came out and said that Mafa is afraid to go on stage. Qiao only wanted to play in Italy, all this other stuff that's coming out with their pick ban. Invictus Gaming's biggest strength is their pick ban, so why are they still number 2? The possibility exists that they will regroup, that's what they're saying. Kid said that he had a bounce back. He appreciates the criticism. He played a lot better in this last set than he did in the previous set. Really, the reason why Invictus Gaming is number 2 is because no other teams have really given me a good incentive to put them above Invictus Gaming. Invictus Gaming is that tilt team, but right now they're winning some games. OMG, you see the possibility of being maybe shaky without certain compositions. Qiao Gu the same. Snake experimenting way too much, LGD experimenting way too much, Royal never give up, no real sense of direction, Master 3 UP, Trainwrecks, King WE just completely beyond hope, so there's just really not a team to put above IG right now. In terms of being able to execute what they want to execute, in terms of having really skilled players, in terms of Kid, like, having those flawed games, but also showing that he can regroup and bounce back. Game against Stubborn Gaming that they had that they threw relentlessly. The fact that they split 1-1 with LGD, and that was a really exciting match to watch with the Echo. Like, I think Rookie has played the best Echo so far. Gaming is number 2 because no one is better than them, and that's pretty much it. Lost 0-2 to Unlimited Potential. They had an extremely close and long game with Royal Never Give Up. Edward Gaming is still the best team in China. I say this definitively, they're experimenting, they're messing around. One thing that really hurts them is that Deft does not play Callista. But that's something that will change in a few patches probably, and Edward Gaming will continue to rock it. It hurts them especially on this particular patch because there are these other champions introduced. The Echo, the Rise changes that make these champions really, really bannable on red side, so you're seeing Callista, actually, people have to deal with him more, like, before Edward Gaming could get away with banning her every game. There were enough bans to go around, and they were comfortable playing against a bunch of different things. Now with the Echo, with the Rise, she's not, you can't necessarily guarantee a ban spot for her, so you're seeing either maybe Def has to play her if they're on blue side, maybe you have to play against her, and she's really a pain to play against. That he doesn't play her. That's why they've been shaky, but so far, kind of like IG, there's really not a team that can go above them. I mean, they're first in the standings with fewer games played. They've only lost 1-0-2. They've only split 1-1-1. Kind of underestimated Unlimited Potential. They telegraphed the fact that Unlimited Potential knew they were going to play Evelyn, and because they picked Nunu. And Clearlove has come out and said, you know, I like to pick Evelyn, I like Evelyn and Nunu, so they knew that would be the reaction, and they immediately followed up with a Twisted Fate pick, which was really smart. Because targeting Clearlove is how you beat Edward Gaming, and the question is, now that Unlimited Potential has made that excruciatingly clear, like using Vision and the Twisted Fate pick, that this is how Edward Gaming goes down. The question is, can they keep number 1? Like, that is probably more in question than ever, but I really, from my perspective right now, it's not going to happen. They're going to adapt, especially when Callista is no longer super high priority, and they will rally and still be the best team in China. Anyway, thanks for this. I appreciate any feedback once again. Hopefully I'm a little louder this time. I was raising my voice. And I will see you in a couple weeks for the next assessment of power ranking.